joining us today. We've got the amazing Alexa Imwalle here with us. And I've known Alexa for so many years. I can't even count how long I've known her. At least over 5 years, I feel like, that we've known each other. And she's one of the special people inside of my community who has just really stuck with tutoring. I remember you were doing in person tutoring when you got started when we first met, and you wanted to move to online. And you had two beautiful baby girls at that time, and now you have a beautiful son added to the family. The whole family is just growing, and you're continuing to just be able to add online tutoring as additional income into your family, which I think is so incredible. You don't have to go into the school system and all that kind of stuff. So you guys are going to get to learn more about Alexa, her journey today, and you guys are in for a surprise. So Alexa, tell us a little bit about what it was like for you to, um, when you were thinking about doing tutoring, like where were you at in that process?
Yes. So before I started, right?
Yeah.
So yes. Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here, and thank you for hosting me.
Yeah.
Um, when I first before I even started tutoring, I was working in the school system. I had worked as a teacher for I'm trying to think. I think it was about 5 years, and so I was, in my early to mid 20s, and thought that teaching was like what I wanted to do for the rest of my life, like in the school. I even remember working at my last school and thinking, wow, like I think I'll just be here forever. Little did I know, I got married, and 6 months later, and this isn't something I've been able to talk to openly about until I really learned that it was part of my story. So I'm gonna embrace it. So 6 months later, I after marrying my husband, I got pregnant with twins.
Mm.
And we were like, whoa, we were not expecting twins, let alone one baby. And here we go.
Yes.
We are becoming parents sooner than we wanted to be, but this is going to be great. So, with lots of just being scared and anxious and all of it, we embraced it, and
Mm.
that is when I decided to leave the school system that honestly was not super supportive of the pregnancy and of me becoming a mom. And I said, you know what, out of necessity of needing money for the house that we were about to buy, given that we turned from 2 to 4 very quickly, um, we went ahead and had me stay home with the girls, and I started my tutoring business. And I was telling Joanne before I got on here how just I would not be here without her. She is who
Mm.
inspires me, who's taught me so much, and just who motivates me. Even an hour ago, I was on a call with you, and you were motivating me again.
I love it, and I think this is the cool thing is, like, our community is just filled with such passionate people, right, that really want to be able to serve each other and help each other, and it's so cool to be a part of that, and, we and it's so cool that you can be a mom. I mean, that was my dream when I was teaching in the school system because I had mama guilt, like, going into school
Yes.
every single day, I had mama guilt, like, I was so grateful for my mother-in-law for taking care of my kids, she was incredible, but that mama guilt weighed on me every single day, and I wasn't getting to see my kids, like, grow up and all of that kinda stuff, so I think the fact that this opportunity allows parents to build a closer relationship with their family and really raise their children and do all that kind of stuff, is the biggest gift we can get, and I love hearing
Yes.
all of those baby sounds. Oh my gosh, Luke is so precious. Oh.
Yes, I was just noticing how many sounds he's making. I'm like, oh, sorry.
No, they're so adorable and so sweet. I love him. I love him so much. I've never even gotten to hold him, but I just love him so much. Those little baby
Well, you
sounds, I
are
miss
Auntie
them.
Joanne.
I know. I know. We've become so close over the years, and it's been so cool to support each other and each other's businesses. And it's so
It
cool that
really
we
has
just get the
been.
opportunity to do that for each other. And I know
Absolutely.
you so tell people a little bit more about reading tutoring and what reading tutoring looks like online for you.
Yes. So before I was tutoring online, like Joanne mentioned, I was tutoring in person. So That that started at our old house. It's so funny how long I've been doing this now, and I'm just love every second. But it was started in our old house where we actually had a walkout basement entrance. So I would have kids come to the house, and I really started with a lot of like the kids in my neighborhood there, where like I put out it was so funny. I put out an ad in my neighborhood newsletter, my old neighborhood. We've since moved, but saying, I tutor everything from kindergarten to 12th grade. Anything you need, I'm here for you. And like now I'm like, oh my gosh, what was I doing? So one of the things you taught me is that having a niche is really, really powerful. And not only does it show people that you're an expert, but you get to work with who you love to work with.
Yeah.
And that's just, I think, what makes it so fun.
It does, and you don't have to spend all that time planning, like, when you're tutoring everything under the sun, you really have to do your research before you go into every single lesson, and that's a lot of work when you can
Exactly,
just
especially if you're doing it with like tons of different subjects and things, that's going to eat up time where like you could be working with another student
right,
or multiple students.
right.
So the kids were coming to my house and it was good and I had a lot of great clients that way and but I really realized like it was like the online was what I really liked. And I really liked that I could kind of not have to clean up my house or not have to have everything looking perfect because I'm a total perfectionist. And I'm like a recovering perfectionist, I should call myself because I really am trying to work on that. But it just was like this added layer of like stress that with three or two young kids at the time, I just didn't want to deal with. So I actually converted them into online students. And I haven't had an in-person client in a lot of years.
Yeah.
So
And
yeah.
that's so cool that we have that opportunity to do that because yeah, like you do want to make sure that if you're having people come to your house that your house looks a certain way. And if you're not having them at your house and you're meeting them at a certain place, then now you're having to take the time to, drive to that place and then have no shows. What do you do when someone doesn't show up when you go to that place, right? Like there's all these like different things that occur. But I think it's so cool that we get that opportunity to do that and be able to teach who we love to be able to teach. And I remember you telling us that you were really struggling. You struggled growing on up with reading, and that is the area that you ended up tutoring later on. What was reading like for you as a child?
Yes. So I was definitely the struggling student. Like I remember, I'm trying to remember back. I always loved school, but I definitely struggled.
Mhm.
I struggled with reading and with writing. I think I think third grade was really the year where like it all kind of came to a head. Like I remember I couldn't see the board, even though I was like sitting front row, needed to get glasses. I was struggling with reading. I was getting pulled out for like intervention classes. Um, what else? I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Um, and yeah, so it all kind of came to a head in third grade. And then I remember that things just took me so long to do. Like I would be sitting inside working on homework for like so much longer than any of the neighborhood kids that would like be outside playing or my older sister. She was like definitely did not struggle. My little sister struggled, but it was not my older one. So yeah, it was tough. And I think today it really makes me empathetic towards the kids that I work with and have such a passion for tutoring reading because I was that struggling student.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until sixth grade when I was getting pulled out of Spanish, which we were just talking about. I think it was the same as you,
Yeah.
where like I was like, okay, well now I get something taken away from me. I never learned Spanish because I had to go to like intervention classes.
Yeah, yeah, and
So
that was
definitely,
heartbreaking. That was heartbreaking for me when that happened. I was just like, I
yes.
really wanted to learn another language. When I was little, I wanted to learn to start reading when I was in kindergarten, which they didn't do back then. And my
Right.
parents were like, "We don't know how to teach you. Just wait till next year. They'll teach you. Like, no big deal." Like, I'm like, "All right." But then I struggled all the way along until about 6th grade when now they started to do something about it. Like, I hadn't really had any help or intervention or anything back then. They didn't do those kinds of things. I think I have a few years on top of you there, Alexa.
Yeah.
But, my kids are in college,
You
our
don't look
kids
like
are
it,
just
Joanne.
being born, it's all good, it's all good. I know, but isn't that the cool thing? It's like you don't even, like, see people and, like, what their age is. Like, when you were little, it was the most important thing, and now when you look at people, you think that they're all the same age as you.
Exactly, exactly.
You're like, "Oh, yeah, I'm totally the same age as Alexa," and then, you find out, you're like, "Oh, no, 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 I'm not. No, I'm not. Alright."
Well, I like to hide my age too, given that I became a mom when much before I was planning to. So
Oh, well, it's all good. You've got a
it is.
beautiful, beautiful family, and
Thank
it
you.
can be stressful as a mom being able to run a business and be able to take care of your little ones. What kinds of advice would you give to other people that are thinking about starting their business, but they have a young family as well?
Yes. Well, first of all, I would say that Joanne is the most understanding, like, flexible. I don't know. You're just so, I just, because I remember I would come to your calls in the early days, like in the days I was just starting my business, I would have Caroline on one leg, Paige on the other leg, and you'd be like, and I would be so scared. I was like, oh my gosh, like nobody else has kids here. Like nobody's gonna understand if they like make a noise or if they're like fussy. I might have to get up and get out of the call. Like, how am I gonna do this? And you were like, hi, welcome. Like, how are like the sweetest person to my little kids and could not have been more flexible or understanding. So now that I have Luke with us, it's like I guess milk down his face. It's um you're just as understanding as you were. And so I had a couple of years where like the kids were, my girls are away at school and now decided to have the third, and you're just super understanding. So first of all, thank you about
Mm. Oh,
that.
you're welcome. Of course. We are a kid business. We're a kid-friendly business, right? It
Yes.
would be silly to be like, "Yes, no kids allowed," and
Yeah. Well, and I remember you being like, "Well, my girls used to color underneath my desk when, I was working." And I was like, "Okay, so people do this. It
yeah.
is okay to do both." And so anyway, what advice would I give? Be patient with yourself. I
Mhm.
think that's one thing that I didn't have when I had Caroline and Paige, and now I'm really trying to have patience with myself and understand what I can handle and what I can't handle, and
Mhm.
be really realistic with that. Because there are tons of times where I get so frustrated because I'm like, I wish I could just speed up what I could get done in a day and like
Yeah.
what I could make happen in my business if only I had more time. And I'm like, but hold on, you want these kids and you need to be understand that like if you're going to be a mom too, which is why you started this, then it's going to go at a slower pace and that's okay.
Yeah. And it's different for everybody too. So don't beat yourself up. Don't compare yourself because it's going to happen when it's meant to happen. It's just keep plugging along every day.
Yes.
Like, don't take, like,
Yes.
weeks or months off in between, but unless you have, like, an emergency, obviously, like, you gotta take care of your family first, but, always put the business front of mind, but also at the back of your mind too, like, be able to put it into a compartment, I think, inside of your mind where you can
Yes.
kinda put it aside so that you can spend that time with your precious ones. I remember always telling you, your kids are only gonna be little once. This is the only shot you get. This is it. You don't get a
Yes.
redo on this, right? Like, I can get a redo on a video that I make, or I can get a redo
Yeah.
on, anything else in life, but I don't get a redo at being my kid's parent. And so we've got to put
Mhm.
our kids first and then the business second and then go from there. And as your kids get older, you'll be able to put in some little different things like I did of where I would write a note. If they saw the headsets on mama's head, that's why I still wear them. Like, I don't know, I just got in that mode, but I
Yeah.
would wear my headset that meant mom was working. I can't talk to her right now. Like they had that visual cue. I can't talk to her right now, but I can write her a note. And so if they ever
Right.
came by me, I would just give them a note. I would give them my note card, and I would hand it on over to them, and they would write in their wonderful kid writing, right? And I would be like, and then I would just like answer them real quick, either on the paper and hand it back to them. And so we were actually working on literacy right then and there, like
Yes.
as a reading person, like who doesn't love that, right?
I
You're working
love
on
that.
literacy while you're also respecting the boundaries of your business because I was working with a client at the time, right? And so you know, there's cute things that you can do like that that you'll never forget that will be so precious to you that you can build on in. And I know you as well. You've built it in where you have caretakers come on in and watch the kids when you're working with your students. Tell us about that.
Yes. Yeah. So when Caroline and Paige were little babies at like 6 months, I realized, okay, like this is really hard having twins and trying to run this business. So I need some help. And we did hire a nanny and she was wonderful. And then the girls got to a stage where they were old enough to go to school, preschool, and currently they're in a program at a local private school, and it's they have late birthdays, so their October 30th is their birthday, so they have like a junior kindergarten program there where like some of those later, like the kids that just missed the cutoff, they are in like a junior kindergarten program, so it's like a step above the preschool but not quite kindergarten, and they're in
Mhm.
that this year and they're loving it. They have an amazing teacher and the school's fantastic. We're so happy. And then Luke, since he's only 3 months, he's with me right now. And we haven't quite figured out what we're doing yet as far as like care for him as he gets a little bit older. But for right now, I told my husband, I said, I don't want to feel like I'm spinning my wheels and failing at both being a mom and a business owner. So I need some additional support. So he said, well, instead of, because we're looking at maybe getting me like a VA or somebody that can just
Mhm.
kind of do some of those additional tasks, but that we wouldn't necessarily put Luke in care yet. And he was like, well, it makes a lot of sense to just take some of that money that we would have spent on childcare and put it towards your business and, helping you get the VA or get the additional support that you need. So for right now, I think that's what we're going to do. But my mom is since pretty much retired, and my dad too, and they live very close to us. So I get help every once in a while from my mom and sometimes from my dad. And it's just, kind of a team effort, but
I
we
love it.
we're blessed. Yeah.
Yeah, you gotta come up with that team plan, like, how are we going to do this? And is it and it's not impossible. Like, I look at you, I mean, you've had $10,000 months with your tutoring business.
Yes.
So it's not impossible to do that kind of stuff, you guys. It's absolutely possible. I'm telling you, Alexa is incredible and what she's able to manage. I mean, look at her. She's here. Like, I love this. Like, even though you could have been like, "No, my baby's going to be awake. I can't do this." But no, like you still showed up, and that's what it's about. Like, people don't know who we are unless we show up, and you keep showing up, and that's awesome. So,
Thank you.
who is your ideal student to work with?
Oh my gosh. I was just thinking about this morning. I absolutely love working with struggling readers in grades K through 5.
Mhm.
And sometimes I'm like, Alexa, you might be niching that down a little too much. I'm like, no, no. Over these 5 years, I have really found that that's exactly who I love to work with. Because every
Yeah.
once in a while, I'll accept a different kind of student, and I'm like, this is why I love what I'm teaching those kids.
Yes, I so agree
um,
with you on that. Yeah. Yeah, I'm right there with you. I've done the same thing. I've niched down to the same grade levels, and even maybe a little earlier. Like if I would say my ideal student, I would say is actually between kindergarten and I would say second grade, because like
oh,
I can make
absolutely.
that biggest impact right then and there. So I love working
Yes.
with kids within that gap. I've got a couple of 4-year-olds that I work with, and I love that
Oh,
too. It's so fun because they're just at a different stage, right? I'm their first teacher for reading, and I love that too. So, both the
yes.
but I would say like ideal is definitely that kindergarten to second grade for me, and for you, you go all the
Yes.
way up to fifth grade. So I think that's
Yeah.
awesome to know that, and you guys, that just opens it on up for you to know your niche is actually wider than my niche.
Yeah. It's That's funny. I never really realized that about you.
Well,
But
I just
I
changed it.
as a reading
I just
tutor, I
changed
get
it.
that.
I just
Oh,
changed
really?
it. Yeah, because I have so few sessions open. at any given time. I have so
Yes.
few sessions. And I always think to myself, do you want to fill it with a fifth grader? No, you do not. You do not.
Yeah.
And I might be able to help that fifth grader. It's not that I can't help that fifth grader. There's just a lot more. There's a lot more layers. There's a lot more stuff. And I know
Yes.
that I can make that biggest impact earlier on. So that's why I love working with those younger kids.
Yes, I totally see that. And how cool that you can still like you've been doing this a long time, Joanna. How cool that you can continue to tweak your niche and figure out what you really like. And I just think that's really cool.
Yeah, yeah. And I know that I'm gonna be happier doing it too. Like, when I accept
Right.
older students, I start working with them, and I'm just like, "Okay, you could do this. You can do this. You totally can do this." But it's not always, like, the excitement of wanting to do this. Like, when I see the little kids,
Right.
you know how I light up when I see little kids. I'm just like,
Yeah,
"Oh my god, look." Oh, yeah.
I do.
So, you gotta go with where the passion is. I love them when they're little,
Yes.
and I think it's so cool. So, we've kinda heard a bit about, like, where your business is at today, but I would love to be able to hear, who is your favorite student you've ever worked with?
Gosh. Yeah. I think back and I'm like, wow, I've had a lot over the years. Blessed to have had a lot. Um, There's a couple, but I'm trying to see here. I would say there's one that I'm working with right now. He's been working with me for almost a year, and he really struggles with reading. And when they reached out to me, they were really needing the help. And I was able to bring him on, and I think he was reading. I don't actually think he was reading yet, and he was in second grade. And I remember doing the assessment and telling his mom like how far behind he was, and um she was just like, I could just tell she was just like, oh my gosh, I did not realize how bad it was. I
Yeah.
was like, yeah, I'm sorry to be the bearer of this news, but at the same time, I'm also going to bring you some good news is that I really can help him and I would love to. And so we got started, and he has made an amazing amount of progress. And last year, after like, I don't know, I think like 3 months of working with me, he got the most improved award at school. And I will never forget the feeling I had when I got to hear that news from him. Like and that was not, I'm not standing here saying that that was because of me. Like, of course I helped him, but that was because of the effort that he put in, the consistency that he put in. And it's never, his mom always says, it's never an argument with him to get on with you, Alexa. Like, he loves you. And we're almost going on a year, and he's just like,
Oh.
oh, I'm like, yes, I have him today.
We do get
So
that way when we work with our ideal student. That's what we get to feel like all the time. Like you guys notice, like Alexa was like sitting there, like, oh my gosh, it's so hard to choose my favorite because there's so many of them, right? Like there's so many of our students that we absolutely love working with, and every day gets to be that day. Like there are some students that they're a little bit harder, but we've got it. We're teachers. A lot of us are
Mhm.
teachers from the classroom, so we know how to work with those kids too. But there is something special about working with some of those kids that you know they enjoy coming to the sessions, and they're making that
Yeah.
huge growth, and they're just so much fun to be able to work with. It's so funny because my phone just decided it's going to record everything that I'm saying. How funny is that? I'm like,
It
okay,
always
you
like
need to
turns on at
stop.
the most like inopportune times. Like yesterday, my well, I renamed it, but the Amazon Alexa, which I call Echo, turned on during my session. It was like, I'm sorry, I did not understand you. I'm like, I wasn't talking to you.
Oh, I know, right? You're like, yeah, I've removed my Alexa because of you, by the way. I was just like, "Alexa cannot be in here," because Alexa would come onto calls and that kinda stuff, and I would say Alexa's name, and then my Alexa would turn on every single time, and I don't slap myself every single time, like, "You know that happens, like, either you need to change the name of your Alexa or get rid of the Alexa," and my daughter wanted an Alexa, so I was like, "Here we go.
Perfect.
Here you go, sweetie. You get your very own," and it was one of the dots. I'm like, "Here you go. You get your very own dot because
Yes.
I'm just done having this fight with her." It's so
That's so
crazy.
funny.
It's so crazy, I tell you. And you guys, we have something really exciting. And I was talking about Alexa, like if she's ever like used Tutorbird inside of her business. I know you were talking
Yeah.
about like thinking about being able to utilize that inside of your business now that you're growing it and all of that, which
Hooray.
you guys are going to hear that story in just a few moments here. But I have sponsored Tutorbird is an official sponsor of our channel now. And
Oh.
they are giving everybody who watches this a 30-day, no, not 30-day, a 3-month trial for free. So watch this, you guys.
Wow.
Tutorbird lets you schedule lessons, take attendance, collect payments, and much more, all in one place.
So all you have to do is put in tutorbird.com/Joanne Kaminsky, and you will be able to get that. And now I put that also in the link. So all you have to do is click that link so that you can take that opportunity. Isn't that incredible? I just love how
It's
generous
amazing.
they are. And they're so helpful. I have found like whenever I've needed to call them, they're able to guide me through whatever it is that I want help with. And they help with being able to take automatic payments. It's almost like having a VA in your pocket. I was thinking about you because I was like, it's like having a VA in your pocket because you don't have to do any invoicing, right? It takes care of that. The scheduling is all there. You can have your parents do all of their rescheduling through there. And it takes all of the back end stuff. It's just like hiring a VA without paying VA costs of
Oh,
running your
that's
business. Like if you have like an in-person business, you have to have somebody like at the front desk, right? Well, Tutorbird
right.
is that front desk, and that's what I personally love about them in running my business. So I can never say enough good stuff about Tutorbird.
I really need to get on board with it. I've heard amazing things, and it's just like time for me to get on board.
And their price point is so affordable for tutors. I think that's what I love about it too. They really are all about, hey, how can we help tutors? We know who our clientele is. We're not going to throw on the 30, 40, $50 a month for it. We are going to put on there instead just the a price point that they can afford. And I think it's like $15 a month, which is
Oh, that's not bad.
absolutely nothing when you think about how much time it can save you just even with the invoicing piece and how cool that piece of it is. So I absolutely love it. And I want to share with you guys earlier today, I was on a call with Alexa and I was sharing with her about an initiative that we're doing with building a school online. And she is so incredible because I said, look, we're going to be building a school for kids in Guatemala. And I was sharing how, I'm bringing it back. We started doing this and we kind of put a hold on it for a little while, especially, during the pandemic. We just kind of took a break from it. And then as I went to Guatemala last month, I got re-inspired. Actually, last week. I was there last week, and that's why I'm tan. And I was just like, I was totally as soon as I like got off the plane and I saw the amount of damage that was still there from Hurricane Fiona and just the amount of poverty that is there. I just thought, you know, when kids rebuild, like when people rebuild inside of Florida, it is a very different experience, right? They've got, people that are on it 100% of the time, like rebuild, rebuild, rebuild. But it's a very different situation in Dominican Republic. If a school gets, blown down because of hurricane situations, it is disastrous, right? That school, it takes time for that school to be built up. It doesn't happen overnight, and it's because of people like us that they're able to have shelter for their schools and not have school canceled because there's rain and they're all going to get, rained on outside because their school has been destroyed, right? And so I am all about, helping the kids that are in poverty be able to escape poverty through an education and through having an education that is constant. Here in the US, yes, we were disrupted by the pandemic, right? But they were disrupted even more, right? And we don't think about that sometimes. So I'm going to share with you guys a quick little video about BuildOn so that you guys can learn a little bit more about that.
Over the last 3 decades, BuildOn volunteers have built hundreds of schools in some of the poorest countries on the planet. They traveled the world with us, building and living alongside the people we serve. and they raise critical funds to make the dream of education reality. They saw firsthand how education can break the cycle of poverty and what a community can do with passion, determination, and the right partner.
And so everybody here gets the opportunity to help in this endeavor of building a school. We have a special tracking sheet, and Alexa actually donated on that call. And right here is our sheet that we have. So I'm able to actually take this one brick. Each brick is $25. This is how many bricks it takes to actually build a real school. And I love this visual here because you can actually see what it takes to build a school and how far we've come. We've really come far. We have already raised over $10,300. So that is so cool. So I am going to put this brick here in honor of our beautiful Alexa. Thank you so much
Of
for your
course.
generosity. And if you guys are interested in donating and helping us with building a school in Guatemala, there is a link down there in the description for you guys to be able to do that. So again, thank you so much
Thank
for
you
your
so much.
generosity. I appreciate
Thank
that. That's
you.
so
I was going to
incredible.
say thank you because I love giving back just to what am I trying to say, to organizations like that.
Yeah.
And I guess that just was how I was raised, but also just my husband and I went on our honeymoon in Jamaica, and we love we love the island. We've just met a lot of cool people. We're actually going to be going back in January, and while we were there 3 years ago, we got to visit a school, and we got to teach, read to some of the kids that were at a school there. And really, I got to see like how, I mean, they didn't have any impacts from like a hurricane at the time or anything like that, but it was really eye-opening to see what their school looked like compared to what we have here in the United States.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I was so grateful that you have done that and have put this initiative together, because I really am so glad to be a part of it.
Yeah. I remember when I was there, I was like, next time I'm here, it's because I'm going to be building a school. And that was like my big goal. I'm like, next time when I come, I'm going to be building a school here. Like I put a pause on it. And here's the things that can happen to all of us. Like for me, I put a pause on it because there was actually some negativity from other people, and I allowed that to really kind of put a hold and a halt onto it. And then I decided, you know what, Joanne, you need to put all of that aside, because there are going to be people that are going to support you with these kinds of things, and there are going to be people who don't support you. That's their issue, not mine. And so that's why I was like, you know what? I'm going to be true to me and who I am. And I do want to give back, and I do want to create that school. And lots of people may have some unkind words about that, and they can have those thoughts or those opinions. That's totally up to them. But I really do think that giving back is one of the greatest things that we can do. And we've been so blessed with our tutoring businesses that it's a great way for us to do that. So
Absolutely.
we'd all love to learn, does what do you envision for your tutoring business in the next 5 to 10 years looking like?
I was thinking about that too. Joanne was so nice to give me the questions in advance, so I was able to prep myself a little bit. It's so funny because what I want, I feel like changes so like often, but I've always come back to the fact that I love tutoring reading. And even when it gets hard, and even when I'm like, oh, I should just like, go find a new job or do something else that's like not as hard to like build my own business. I'm like, no, I love this. I am passionate about this. I get to wake up every day and love what I'm doing and know that I'm making a difference. And that's not how I felt when I was in the schools.
Right.
So I would love to be able to continue to be tutoring, continue to have kids that are finding me from all over the world. I've had some success with having kids find me from other states, but really I needed to put some new pieces into place to make that happen. And I feel like I'm finally starting to do that. And I'm seeing the rewards. I had somebody reach out to me and said they found me on Google today. So I'm really excited. So I think just really continuing to like dig deep into who I am as a business owner, what my brand is, like really start to reach beyond just Maryland, where I'm located, and maybe our surrounding states, and be able to work with like kids from everywhere, like you,
Yeah.
Joanne, like a kid from Costa Rica. How cool is that?
I know, it's so cool. The family relocated there about a year ago from North Carolina, and now they're in Costa Rica, and they plan on staying there for at least the next 15 years, and I was like, "That's so cool that, the only way for them to find me was online, that's it, and this is all about building an online presence, right? That's what we need to do so that people can find us." All these people are finding me and they're finding you because of the presence that we make online, and I think that's so huge. That's where I have been helping people with networking and all of this. And you guys, like this YouTube live today is going to go right on into our podcast for the Professional Freelance Tutors directory. Alexa is one of the members inside of that directory, and I will share my screen with you guys so you guys can see that directory. But here's Alexa's profile inside of that directory, and what's really cool is we get that opportunity to connect with each other through this directory, and parents can find us as well through this directory. And then each of the podcasts that I do with the members that are inside of here, all of those go right on into uh, the podcast that's right here, so you can see all of the different tutors and learn more about them as business owners and learn about them as tutors. So it's really cool. It goes on for pages and pages of interviews I've done with tutors that are inside our community. So if you're looking to get to know other tutors in the community, that's a great way to really get to know them a little bit more personally, individually, and who knows? Next time you see them, you'll be like, "Oh my gosh, I heard your podcast," and it's a great door opener, right, to being able to chat and get to know each other. So cool.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today, Alexa. I know you
Thank
enjoy
you.
networking with other tutors. When you
Yes.
network with other tutors, what do you like to network and connect and collaborate with? What are some things
Mhm.
that you like to focus on?
I I'm so glad that you have that, first of all, as a part of your community, because I think it's so powerful to just be able to build these relationships with other tutors. I think one of the things that I struggled with when I was brand new to tutoring, since then I think it's gotten a little bit better, especially from joining your community, but is like that feeling of being isolated, right? And I think that can be a really real thing when you're working for yourself. So I love to just meet other tutors. I love to know what they're tutoring, so that if like going back to what we were talking about before, if I get a request from a student and it's not my ideal student, I can say, you know what, I have the person for you, and then I can pass
Mhm.
them along to somebody who I know, like, maybe yes, I could serve them, but like maybe not the right fit for me. Instead of trying to serve them, and give them to the person who really can serve them the best. And then I know that the same will be done for me. And that's not what I'm looking for, but I know that from building those relationships, that will naturally happen.
Yeah.
So, things like that. Um Even talking about best practices and like teaching tools and new things like Tutorbird, how cool is that to be able to try that out and see how it can, better my business, and so being able to offer like advice there too, to other tutors, on things that maybe I've tried that they haven't.
Mhm. I know, it is cool just to be able to collaborate together and get to learn about new stuff that you've never heard about before, and be able to, I mean, that's what networking is about. Networking is about, like, reaching out to the people in your community that are gonna be a good fit for something, and then you refer them on, and then, you know and I feel like the universe is so abundant in gratefulness, because it's like when you do those kinds of things, that person may not, like, repay you back in another student, right? Because they may not have that opportunity. Like, they don't have anybody who's coming for reading or math or whatever the case may be, right?
Mhm.
But somewhere else along the line of the universe, that goodness is gonna be delivered back to you, and I do truly believe that that's how it works, that it's not about, like, tit for tat or that kinda stuff, it's just, like, just keep being the best you, and it's amazing the things that are gonna happen inside of your business, and, one, quote that I love is, "The more people that you help get what they want, the more that you are gonna get what you want."
I
And you
love
don't even
that.
have to
Man, I
ask, you
have a
don't.
story about that. Can I tell you really quick?
Yeah.
Um, so recently I referred on a student to another tutor that I thought was, a better fit. And today I got so that tutor was, they don't have somebody to pass on to me right now, which is fine. But I got two requests from a person that I have made a connection with at a school, actually around here, that is looking to have tutoring for their kids. So two
Mm.
requests just today from that person. And I believe in that too. I believe that that's like the energy that we put out is what we receive, even if it's not
Yes.
from that direct person.
Exactly, exactly, and it even comes with releasing students too, because there's some times where
Mhm,
you're just like, okay, I'm not the right fit anymore. Like maybe I was a right fit at a
mhm.
time, but we've grown out. I mean, because some of our students, they stay with us for years and years and
Yeah.
years. And you're just like, okay, we've outgrown each other at this point. It's time for
Mhm,
me to release you. And the parents can decide, do they want me to release you to someone else? Do they want me to they just want to stop doing the tutoring for now? And so sometimes I have to have those conversations. But I find like whenever I go through that hard decision process, I go into my inbox and there's always, like, more students there. It's so cool. It's so
it
cool.
is.
And it's not just like a wish it and they will come kinda thing, you guys, okay? It's not that. Obviously, Alexa and I have put the pieces into place for our business for these kinds of things to happen, but at the same time, it it's not ironic. It is not ironic at all. It's like a releasing of something that needs to go and incoming for making room for that new thing that you want to have come into your business. So awesome.
Mhm.
Yay. Well, thank you for joining us and thanks for letting us see Lukey. Oh my gosh, he's so cute. Okay, I know you call him Luke. Do you call him Lukey?
Sometimes I'm like, "Hi,
Okay.
Lukey."
Oh.
But
I'm
but
like,
yes,
I'm
his
just
name
making
is
up
Luke.
names. I'm just making up names
No,
for him.
Aunt Auntie Joanne can call him whatever she wants.
I have a nephew named Luke, and we used to call him Lukey all the time, and now that he's older
Oh,
so he is, like, 25 now, and I'll be like,
oh.
"Lukey."
He's
He's
always
like
gonna get that from
he
he's and with his two older sisters, he's always gonna have stuff like that going on.
For sure, for sure. I love it. Well, you guys, as I told you, I knew you would gonna love Alexa. She's absolutely incredible. You can connect with her inside of our community. She's in the Insider Secrets Club. She's inside of the Tutors Network Together community, our TNT, which is explosively growing. And I'm so excited to have you part of our community. And thank you again for joining us today. And thank you guys at home for joining us as